can't put a picture up. Okay. Anyhow, okay, so I'm live. And the title of this one is called, let me see, hold on. I put no call. All right, so the title of this one, that thing is moving very quickly, isn't it? That that ticker. The title of this one is called, let me see here, chat filter, no, nothing. All right, the title of this one is called, this stream. I'm just casually speaking on it. Uh, the Nation of Islam raised me. And the reason why I'm doing this stream is because I have a particular, I guess, unique background that contributes to my worldview. And so I just like to talk about that. Um, when I was growing up here in the South in Georgia, I grew up in the suburbs. So I'm not a rural person. My family is rural. Um, as you say, country folk. I grew up in the suburbs, in predominantly white suburbs, and I said that. And it has been I guess you'd say a thorn in my side most of my life. Um, and I always talk about, W.E.B. Du Bois and the idea of the veil and living behind the veil and coming into the understanding of race and what race means. And no more quickly can you do that than growing up in a white middle and upper class environment as a black kid. You will be confronted before you know it, and then you become aware of it by race. So I was primed for the picking as I headed towards 12 years old, um, 13 years old, 14 years old. I started to gather understanding about race by experience, not because I was dictated to, not because someone told me. I learned at an early age what whiteness was by proximity. And at the time, I did not have the words, I did not have the philosophy, I did not have an understanding. I did not, hey, what's up, Gabe? What's going on? And yeah, I want to holler at you, Gabe. I want to holler at you. Um, and yeah, maybe I'll do that in a separate stream um, about these low lives in YouTube, real low lives. But anyway, and nowhere did I get this experience with whiteness except by proximity. And so I didn't have a framework. I didn't have anybody to interpret, to tell me what I was experiencing. I had to go through it. So it's trial by fire for me. Yeah, yeah, Gabe. It's some beasts in here. There are some real beasts in these spaces. And I was by the time I was 15, I was looking desperately. And I should say this, I wasn't raised in a Christian environment. My parents were not practicing Christians. We didn't pray, we didn't go to church, none of that. So for somebody who lives in the South, especially in a non-urban area, it's kind of strange because everybody's lives revolve around church for the most part, at least in the South. And so, there's all these different rituals and routines. People are in youth choirs, they're in the choir, they got what Bible studies on Wednesday, praise dance on Thursday. A lot of people have centered their lives around the church. And my parents being non-religious, I did not have that. Also Sunday, right? You spend Sunday going to church, sitting there all day. And then let me see. I believe people go to like Sunday dinner or they go to Sunday for a restaurant. That's kind of my understanding of Southern Christian culture. I was never part of that. And there was a part of me that felt a little strange. I didn't push my parents, like, why aren't we doing what the Christians do? I didn't. We just didn't talk about God. We didn't read Bibles. I've never read a Bible. I have no knowledge of it. I have not read it. My grandmother gave me a copy, and it's on my bookshelf. But I have never had any interest in Christianity. And I guess the reason why I really never was influenced or pushed by it is because I found that the tenets of it, I won't get deep into it, but I found that the tenets of it to me are self defeating. You tell people they have a moral code, and then you tell them that you don't have to actually live by the moral code. I'm just telling you, as an outsider looking in, this is my objective reality of Christianity. And you tell them they're supposed to have this high moral code, but then you don't actually expect them to live by it because no matter what they do, God forgives them, no matter how many times they do it, and all these other type of things, right? And then on top of that, if somebody was trying to hold you to a moral code, what's up, V Dub? If somebody was trying to hold you to a moral code, you tell them simply, you can't judge me. And everybody's a sinner. You were born in sin. So I was like, well, that just doesn't make sense. Like, it has no structure to it. You just like do what thou wilt. And so, in my opinion, I'm sorry to say it, but for the most part, I see Christianity as kind of a pagan religion. I really do. Do what you want to do. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You know, somebody died for your blood and whatever. Somebody sacrificed their blood or whatever that means, you're going to be okay in the end, long as you say you believe this. And I just don't think that has much teeth. And I don't mean to offend anybody, but I just don't. I've never been attracted to that. You said you feel the heat. I'm not pushing no heat. I'm just being objective here and what my experiences was. I don't mean to offend. I know that the black church has had a lot of, goodness that it's done. It's led our people. It's organized our people towards freedom. So I do respect what the black church as an institution has done. But the Christianity as a whole, I have seen as a way to subdue. And where do I get this from? Where do I get some of my perspectives from? Nation of Islam. And so the Nation of Islam came into my life at a very early age. I was looking for answers. I was searching for answers. And maybe I'm a little bit studious, maybe I'm a little bit nerdy, but I began to study all the world's religions. And I know that's so like probably weird for a 13 or 14-year old. I had this void. And I had this white world I was living in, and it wasn't making sense. Christianity couldn't answer it. There were not a lot of answers. And me and my dad did a lot of debating. My dad's a Martin Luther King, freak. And everything for him goes back to Martin Luther King. Well, Martin Luther King at the time, I couldn't really understand. And so my debates and my conversations with my dad became Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X. And I had not been introduced to W.E.B. Du Bois at that time. Later in my life, I would come to understand that W.E.B. Du Bois had the keys to the castle as far as I'm concerned. Um, but anyway, so me and my dad had these King, Martin Luther King Jr. centered conversations around race, but I was looking for something else. And I came across Martin Luther King. I'm sorry, Malcolm X. And in coming across Malcolm X, I came across the Nation of Islam. And I said, whoa, I got a lot of answers. I got a lot of background message to the black man, right? How to eat to live. I started seeing this structure. And I said, oh, wow. Black folks like me, they seeing stuff like me. They're having experiences like me. They're seeing the racism like me. And the mainstream media in the 90s, you know, the late 80s and 90s, they was not really addressing stuff like this. Oprah Winfrey would have the KKK come on her channel and they get to yelling and talking and stuff. But there was no real like intellectual dialogue or any framework for black people to move through and past racism. The only answers I found to this question at that time was the Nation of Islam. And so I delved into the Nation of Islam while I was doing deep study. I got copies of the Bhagavad Gita. I started learning about the uh, the Tao, right? Lao Tzu. I started studying Sikhism, Buddhism, Hinduism. I started studying Jainism. I was studying Tibetan Buddhism, all kind of stuff. I looked briefly at Scientology. I looked briefly at Catholicism. They did not appeal to me. I looked at Santeria. I looked at what is it, voodoo, traditional African spirituality, Yoruba. I looked at everything you can think of. I really, really delved deeply into, I looked at Judaism. Let me read the comment. I'm never offended. I'm anti religion. I'm spiritual on a single level. It's for me. It's for me. And I hope others have their own. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the thing. You have to find the path that speaks to your soul. And that's one thing I don't like about religion. They try to pigeonhole you into this place. You either this or that, and binary oppositions. You're gonna go to hell. All these stories. I don't have time for that. My mind is so expansive. I think we may have that in common, Vida. My mind is so expansive. These are paths. These are lifestyles. These are cultures. These are options and choices that are a combination of knowledge from people from many generations. That's how I see religion and I see certain paths of spirituality. These are cultures that are created by people over time, and somehow, somewhere in the world, it made sense to them. And if it makes sense to you wherever you are in space, time, and reality, then you can do what you need to do with that, add on to it, adopt what you need to adopt, what makes sense. I think everything is very adaptive. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't necessarily agree with adaptivity of spiritual paths, but I do. I think a lot of shit is universal. And it's people wanting to make money that tell you that you can only go one way. And so eventually I came into what you call Baha'i faith, which is a culmination, an understanding and respect for all. I would just call them traditional paths rather than religion. But let me get back to Nation Islam. So while I was doing this study around 14 or 15, and I know people thought I was crazy, they thought I was strange. I was checking out all these books, I was reading all these things, and here I am in these, suburbs in a secluded place where everybody's cookie cutter and they all do the same thing. They all look alike. They have the same lifestyle. But there was something in me that was driving me deeply to find out more. It was a spiritual calling, awakening, I would say, as a young person. So between 14, 15, and by the time I was about 15, 16, I was deep into the Nation of Islam. I'll be honest, the Nation of Islam won me over because it spoke to my blackness. It spoke to me spiritually, it spoke to me politically, and it made sense at that time. So the Nation of Islam had a very, very big influence over me because I was in a white hell, and that's what I can call it, a white utopia. I was in a white hell and I was catching all kind of strays. Okay. I had certain pains and frustrations that I could not necessarily escape from. I could not necessarily translate, and I could not fully understand. And the framework of the Nation of Islam, it gave me a foundation from which to build a healthy black self. Before people had the understanding of intersectionality, when I walk into a room, I bring myself, my female self, my black self, my southern self. I bring all my different selves to this space. Your class, your religion, you bring all of that into a space. Nobody had told me that. Nobody could explain that. Martin Luther King did not, in my conversation with my father, did not have the framework for me. The Nation of Islam did. The Nation of Islam said, yes, you are black. And there's a position for you when you are black. There's a productive place for you to be, and here it is. When you are a black woman, here is how you carry yourself. This is what dignity looks like. Nation of Islam defined for me what black dignity was. What does black dignity look like? That's why I am nation born. Nation of Islam raised me. Nation of Islam gave me a positive framework as a black person, specifically, uniquely situated here in the United States of America, a place that is steeped in deep historical racism. They gave me an understanding of what I can respect and how I can be respectable as a female and a black person in this country. Nation of Islam dealt with my personal history, our collective black history. It was the only thing that I saw out here speaking to me as a young black person. And see, a lot of young people, they don't have anything positive to turn to. They turn to what? Drugs, gangs, Nowadays, they turn to the internet for answers, and whoever's flashy enough, whoever's got enough followers, they want to imitate and be all of that. At that time, thank God, I didn't have all of those options because I could have been a wayward child. I could have become a high extremist. And a lot of people say, oh, Nation Islam is very extreme. No, it's not. Nation Islam gives you a positive framework to build self esteem and have purpose in your life. If you really get into the tenets of Islam, they tell you you need to create your own job. Do for self. Do for self. That shit is programmed in me and never left. Minister Louis Farrakhan, he always talked about don't go begging the white man for shit. You have yourself, and yourself is enough. Do for self. Don't wait on the government to take care of you and your children. Do for self. He didn't have to do a whole shame, blame, explain speech on being a baby mama and not being married, having children out of wedlock and all of that type of stuff, sitting on welfare for generations. He didn't have to have that conversation. Farrakhan spoke very clearly. Honest to Minister Louis, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said very crystal clearly, do for self. And if you know anything about the Nation of Islam, then one thing you do know is that there is a separation between men and women. Nation of Islam didn't have room for trans. They didn't entertain gayness. So you see how the Nation of Islam simplified my world? It gave me a framework to make sense of all the foolishness in the world. Nation of Islam said we're not going to worry about all of these man-made stupidities, this made-up, westernized crap. We're going to remove that. We're going to return to the center. We're going to return to God. And here's how. Do for self, right? That means you're not looking for the government to do for you. You are fully embodied, emboldened, okay? And you fully can do everything you need to do for yourself. You need a job, create one. You want a business, run one. You want a family, build one. Get your own land, get your own home, do for self. Do for self, do for self. They encourage people to be educated. The Nation of Islam encouraged people to be studious, read, 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 be a literate person, be a person who knows what they're talking about, be a person with a plan. What is your plan, sister? Live an intentional life. What is your intention for your life? What is your purpose? What are you here for? Are you here to serve your community? Are you here to build wealth in the Black society? Are you here to create jobs for other Black people? Are you here to do Black economics? What is your purpose? Are you here to teach the young children? Are you here to minister to the incarcerated? You have to have a purpose in a nation. What is your purpose? This is the type of stuff that is very valuable. A structure, right? A sense of purpose, a collective love of self. This is what attracted me to Nation Islam. But if you don't actually get involved in Nation Islam, you don't actually know all of these things. They have books, they have trainings, right? And they interject the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's words, his speeches, his teachings. These are part of it. They pull strategic parts from the Quran, right? The holy book of Islam, and they introduce that. And so one of the things as a Black young girl at age of 16, I got very, very deep into Nation Islam. And I started to understand how this world works from a microcosm, not a macrocosm. That would come later, a microcosm. I'm looking and testing the world I live in. How does this work? Oh, that's why they do that. I got so many answers. I always noticed how white folk were nervous or bothered by me in a private school setting. Something about me being present or able to be there. It was always kind of like, how? And I'm going to just put it this way. Nation Islam taught me to be aware of whiteness. They look at you like that because you make them uncomfortable, because they don't believe that a Negro, a black person, can be their equal. And you are showing up in places and spaces that make you their equal. That bothers them. Now, if you're in the ghetto and you're talking crazy and you can't afford anything, your teeth are raggedy, but no, you're sitting up here in the orthodontic. I'm just telling you, these are the type of little things I would see. I walked my black self in with my mom to the orthodontic clinic to get braces. And some of these white folks, y'all got to understand, they're not necessarily rural white people, but they moved to places thinking that they were in a white world and they would never see black people. I think most white people, when they move places like that, they think, oh, socioeconomically, I'll never have to come in contact. They don't really consciously think of it, but it is part of their plan. And so you're invading their space when you walk into the orthodontic clinic, with your braces. And they're like, damn, it's a sea of white people with their parents. And here you come with your black self and all eyes on you. This was my experience constantly. And they checking you out. They've always done that to us, checking us out. How do you get? They want to see what you drive. They have 1,000 questions. How? You don't belong here. How? And thank God I never had Karens at that time in my life to actually come up and have the nerve to say, you don't live here. How do you afford to be here? Let me see your ID. Never had those experiences. But I had a lot of microaggressions from white people, lots of them. I mean, y'all have seen it. People will go and they stand in line at Delta, right? And they're about to get in the what is it, the first class. And then somebody write a big, excuse me, but this is the first class line. And then the black person's like, yeah, I know. I'm riding it just like you are, so excuse yourself. This has been my life experience. And I'm not going to lie, all those microaggressions, they have made me, I would say, real strong, in my opinion. Very strong. Even hostile towards white folk. If I'm honest, if I'm truly honest, I'm a bit hostile. It doesn't take a lot for them to set me off. Because I pick up where we last left off. I never forget. I see every act as a potential microaggression. I would probably likely read some bullshit into something that ain't even happening because I'm that sensitive. I am. I ain't gonna lie. I don't give them an inch because it is so entrenched in my brain based on the microaggressions I experienced from a child. The strange looks, the uncomfortableness, the depths of the thickness in the room, so many things being said but not said out loud. You don't belong. You don't belong. Why are you here? You don't belong. You don't belong. How could you afford? I can't tell y'all how many times I experienced you don't belong. And we all collectively want you to leave. And I grew up like that. Ah, Gabe said, your life experience is very similar to mine. So you know what I'm talking about. And that feeling never goes away. The awareness of it. I can't forget that. I can't do kumbaya. And you said my solution most of the time is avoidance, extreme avoidance. Exactly. Exactly. And that is the only solution. I believe in avoidance, and I also believe in separation. Those are two things I believe in: avoidance and separation. And I don't just do the avoidance, just with white folk. I do that with niggas. I'm just be honest with you, like straight niggas, like black folks whose cosmology and their worldview is way different than mine. There's a total separation. I want no parts of it. I detest them just as much as I do um, you know, white folks. I'm just being honest. I'm being real. I will never shake that feeling of this collective entitlement. And this is what I'm going to say. I feel like white folk, if I'm going to put an analogy to it, I feel like white folk are like, what do you call those things? Leprechauns. Somebody promised them a pot of gold, a big pot of gold, right? And they have this little cauldron, and it's got one gold coin in it. And at some point, this motherfucking thing is supposed to be all the way full. But all they got is one coin as proof and evidence that this pot, if they keep it and guard it and they guard that one little gold coin, if they guard it with their life and some good goddamn point, it will manifest into a huge bucket of gold. This is how I kind of my analogy for white folk. Excuse me. I think that they have been promised by somebody that they are supposed to have a manifestation of wealth, success, and status and power in this pot of gold. And they just keep looking at it, staring at that one pot of gold, waiting for it to manifest into a whole pot of everything they ever wanted and desired. Maybe the American dream, maybe more. Something in that little coin is supposed to take over the world and make everything perfect for them. They've been promised every generation. And so what happens is you have a black person, they just casually walking down the street, and then here goes the leprechaun. I know you're looking at my pot of gold. Get away, you know. You looking at me pot of gold. You want me gold. And the Negro's like, I didn't even know you had a piece of gold in there, bro. I didn't even know. And I don't care. I'm not interested in your little coin. And that's been the story of the Negro. And anybody, they're paranoid. Anybody who comes in their vicinity, they swear you trying to steal their pot of gold. And it makes them aggressive. This is where Karens come from. They're trying to guard something that would never was. And every shadow, every flicker, every sound, they're running around. Oh, who is it? What is it? Who's trying to take me pot of gold? You know? You are paranoid people. You are people protecting nothing. You are protecting a lie. Somebody told you you were entitled to some shit and you believed them. They told you you were supposed to have everything and that your delivery date is coming. That your big old pot of gold, all you got to do is fight everybody. Protect this little coin in this little pot. And one big day, all that you ever wished for power, money, influence, wealth, status it will all appear. You just got to fight everybody until, until. So they make people uncomfortable. They attack people. And then they'll steal your gold, but they ain't gonna let you come close to them. Nothing that they think is gonna be looking like you taking theirs. No, no, no. They'll steal your gold, but they'll guard theirs with their life. And they have a history of stealing gold. They have a history of taking folk power. They think they have the ability to take, and they fight, defend. But how dare you get anywhere near removing, taking, fucking with any of their shit? That's just not gonna happen. So you have a paranoid people that are operating under a culture of paranoia. Entitled, paranoid people operating in a paranoid culture that pushes a false narrative of you deserve. And the thing is, as time goes on, every generation, they're not getting closer. They're not getting closer to any of the promises of the gold. It's not getting closer. And they're getting more aggressive and they're getting more frustrated. And not only that, they're realizing that all these people, these immigrants, these minorities, these folk are walking around with everything they need. It ain't got nothing to do with the pot of gold. These people of color are walking around educated. These people of color are buying homes. These people of color and immigrants are establishing themselves strong, generation by generation. They're working hard and smart. They're building businesses. They're investing, right? And you got the leprechaun still sitting over there, paranoid and crazy, trying to figure out who's trying to steal his gold. He's fighting shadows and he's lashing out at the world. He's crazy. He's paranoid. What are we supposed to do about that? What are we supposed to do about you being told a lie? And you're paranoid and you're fighting shadow. What are we supposed to do with you? What are we supposed to do with you while we live our lives? We're not thinking about you, but you're enacting your paranoia on the world. You're spreading disinformation. You are fighting a lie that you can never actually see. And the truth of the matter is, there's never going to be a pot of gold fully manifested. There's never going to be power. Never. And if they had started working in authentic ways, If they had started planning like the people of color, generation by generation, slowly but surely, one step in front of the other, had they been doing that, they could have become more of what they wanted to be. But they believe that their entitlement, this I'm white, I'm supposed to have. They thought that would be enough, and it's not. And this is why we're seeing what we see today. The Nation of Islam raised me. The Nation of Islam showed me whiteness before I could understand fully the concept. Nation of Islam told me, baby, you built this country, your ancestors, the black people. They taught me my history from slavery forward in this country. They taught me that we are not a lazy people, they are liars. These people lie, they deceive, they can't deal with reality. Minister Louis Farrakhan, he laid out the foundation. They produced books and I read them. I read historical understandings. I have a whole cosmology because the Nation of Islam raised me. I cannot hate myself. I cannot hate the black man. I cannot hate the black woman. Somebody said in the chat the other day, I said, nobody outside of my community can call me a bitch. And he was like, oh, somebody in your community can call you a bitch, shaking my head. I have compassion for my people, people of color. I have compassion and understanding. I know who we are. I know where we come from. I know we don't try to hurt each other. I know we may misunderstand each other, but there's brotherhood and there's sisterhood. I stand on that. There's always brotherhood and sisterhood. I stand on that. Every brother I meet, that's where Nation Islam comes from. I see a brother, make eye contact. How you doing, brother? That's Nation Islam. I was raised that way. I recognize the might and the power of black men. That's Nation Islam. You're talking, oh, you some kind of Miami. No, I'm Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam raised me. They taught me to respect black men. They taught me that black men are leadership. Nation of Islam. Okay. The Nation of Islam also taught me that women have a unique position and we have a specific, unique, amazing role that we fulfill as women, and men can't do it. And women can't do what men do, and men can't do what women do. I have my place in the nation. Nation of Islam taught me that. Nobody can take that away. You can call it whatever you want to call it. You can misname it, misjudge it. I know my position in the nation, in the collectiveness of blackness. I know my role. I am wife, I am mother, I am healer, I am nutritionist, I am teacher, I'm a leader in the community. I have a civic duty to keep order here. I have a political, right? I have community things I need to do. Women organize the community, men lead it. Been like that. What's new? What's new? I'm not bucking up against what I have been taught. Not for nobody. I'm gonna tell you one very important thing the Nation of Islam taught me. They taught me how to have pride as a black woman. At a young age, I'm 16 years old. I had already started going down that path. My dad don't even play that. My parents had credit cards for me. This was a pastime. Just go get dropped off at the mall, go to the mall with your friends. I got a wallet full of credit cards my parents gave me. I got a Learner New York. I got a merry-go-round. That store no longer exists. I got a Gap. I got a Limited. I'm trying to remember what else. A couple more. Macy's card. I got a handful of credit cards. What do I want to buy? So I get dropped off 12 o'clock in the noon. This was almost every other weekend. And of course, I go skating in the evening. But this was my regular thing. Get dropped off and I go shopping. My mother was a shopper. Just shop. That's what we do on Saturday. We shop. We shop on Saturday and Sundays. Get these credit cards and go into the mall with my friends. Go try on clothes, pick up clothes, come out with a whole bunch of bags. And it wasn't like it is now. Nowadays everything's all about what bags did I get, how much did I get. Can I show it off on social media? This was authentically just a lifestyle because nobody, there was no social media, nobody to show it off to. This is just life. This is how it's lived. At some point, when I started going to merry-go-round, they had see-through shirts. They had jeans with holes and rips in them. They had Uchi Coochie shorts. They had all these different things. And I had studied Nation of Islam. A lot of it was political and racial. But it was something there that had to catch hold to me because I had started going down that path around 15, 16, where I had started saying, ooh, I can wear this, I can wear that. Now, I'll tell you one thing, the first time I thought I could go to that mall and buy some of them hoochie coochie clothes, it didn't take much. Them little shorts and all that type of stuff, my daddy didn't play none of that. That makeup, dressing grown, looking girl, my daddy did not play none of that. None of that. So I was sneaky. I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna wear this and that to school. And he just started looking at some of my clothes and where I was going. I noticed that he noticed me. He saw one or two outfits or whatever. I tell you what, I thought I was gonna change clothes at school and he would not know. I don't know how my daddy figured it out. Maybe it's because he saw a shift in my purchasing. I had a whole bunch of bags. My daddy went through all the bags because I used to throw them in my closet. He didn't say, hey, return them clothes or nothing. You know what my daddy did? He cut them clothes up. Message. He cut them clothes up. You not my daughter's not wearing none of that. He didn't give a damn. Right? So I had enforcement at home. My dad was not finna play that. I don't care what hip hop, I don't care what you call it, the New York girls, what are them? On Living Color. In Living Color. I don't give a fuck what I was trying to dress like that. My dad did not give a fuck. He cut them goddamn clothes up. He ain't say a word. My father is a silent person. He ain't gonna explain shit. Everything is understood. When I came and they was just cut up and thrown all across my room, I said, "Oh my, Daddy did not like them clothes." I mean, it was literally to this day there was no conversation. Everything was understood. My daddy is not going for me wearing clothes like that. So I had home enforcement with standards as a girl, not being too grown, because that's one of the problems that we have in the black community. We try to get grown and we don't have nobody to stop us and say, wait a minute. You'll get to womanhood, but it don't look like that. That ain't no woman. So I had my father there. And of course, my mother. She was regulating too. But every so often we try to get grown when we ain't grown. And I thought I was going to use his credit card money to do it, and that's not going to happen. Clearly. So the next thing was Nation of Islam. I had to deal with that. In order for you to go to the mosque at the Nation of Islam, you were taught early on that you must come a certain way. There are standards. You don't come in there any kind of way. So then I had to start confronting this idea of what is a woman or a girl who's appropriate. What is she supposed to look like? How does she carry herself? I had to deal with that because you cannot come among Muslims half-assed. You can't do it. You have to come fully dressed. What did I find out in the Nation of Islam? Women wear dresses, women wear skirts. There is a difference between men and women, including dress. We don't dress the same because we ain't the same. Everything is understood. Everything is understood. I was raised by the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam raised me. From that time, you would be hard pressed when I was 16 going forward. You would be hard pressed to find May in a fucking pair of pants. I didn't wear pants for years. I had an instant baptism under the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam said, you are a woman. You have a higher calling on your life. You will not carry yourself that way. You will not show your breast. You will not exploit yourself. You will not throw yourself to the world and let them do what they want to do with you. The world means you no good. You have a higher calling. You are a woman, and God has a plan for you. And you being sexually exploited, that ain't part of the plan. So cut it out. Don't care what other people do. They can say you dress like a Mormon. They can talk about you. They can say whatever they want to say. You have purpose in the nation. And I went among the women in the Nation of Islam, and they showed me how to dress. And I started out that way. I throw all them clothes away. Little see through this, da da da. No more tank tops. No more fitted clothing. None of that. No more shorts. May I ain't worn shorts since I was 15. To this day, I ain't worn shorts since I was 15. I don't wear shorts. I don't own any. The Nation of Islam raised me. I have one skirt that comes to my knees. One. And that's a professional skirt that I wear for very specific business meetings, and I take that shit off. One. From the age of 16, Nation of Islam taught me do not show your body to nobody. It's not a selling point. It's not a toy. It ain't nothing to play with. Your sexuality is not nothing to play with, to throw away. Nation of Islam raised me. So I put on long skirts. If you see any pictures of me between the age of what, 16 and probably 23, 16 to 23, only thing I wear is long skirts. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Long skirts, long dresses. That's it. And now I wear yoga pants with long. It might as well be a damn dress to my knees. I wear these black, and that's because I have to have utility. I gotta till and pick up stuff and all these. I have a very robust life, right? So I wear loose fitting yoga pants, and I wear these shirts that are actually they're actually dresses. Regular folk would wear them as dresses. They come to your knees, but I wear that on top of my clothes. I wear very loose fitting clothes. I've never stopped that. I've always worn modest clothes. I will continue to the day I die to wear modest clothes. No matter how old I get, I will always wear modest clothes. And I think it was like a couple, maybe a year ago or so, I started wearing shorter sleeves, much shorter sleeves. And that's because I'm outside and I'm hot as fuck. And that's because I'm at home, privacy of my home. But I've always been trained by the Nation of Islam to have self respect for myself as a girl. I didn't have to go into the world and have, these crazy red pill people hollering and shouting. We didn't need that. What we needed as young people was somebody to set a tone and a standard, a place of love, a place of vision. This is what our society should look like. And here are some models of what that looks like. And this is how we do it. You understand? We show you by doing. That's what the Nation of Islam did. That's how the Nation of Islam raised me. We can show you by living it. So I see the sisters, right? I see them, the MGT. I see them with their heads covered. That's normal. Modesty. I see them with decent clothing covering their bodies. I see them. I'm learning by looking. And see, that's the thing. You have all these people nowadays, they love to talk, 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 talk. Where's your model? Where's your model? And that's the thing. That's why, honestly, online, I cannot take these people seriously. Because my whole thing is, because I have that background in Nation Islam, because I saw a framework that makes sense, a lot of the stuff that is being said out here is the same shit. Oh, we got this wrong. We got that wrong. But the Nation Islam had answers for that. They had a framework for that, right? They had a program around that. Do for self. Understand the difference between the roles of a man and the roles of a woman. Stay in your place. Live your purpose. This is your purpose. It's a collective purpose. It's something greater than just you. Stop being selfish. Focus on what's supposed to be and not what you want it to be. Live in reality. And mostly important, the Nation of Islam taught that you are what you focus on. If you are focused on peace and justice, be peace and justice. Be that. You can't keep talking about something that you don't live. Let me say that again. You can't keep talking about something you don't live. The accountability in the Nation of Islam is one of the most impressive things I ever saw in my life. Accountability, accountability, accountability. No matter where you were, people had expectations for you. The way you carry yourself, there's an expectation, and they will hold you to it. The things you say, the things you do, they're holding you to it. In live time, they're telling you what they expect of you, and they're going to let you know and remind you, we expect something from you, and you're either living up to it or you're not. And it wasn't nobody gonna get shot and beat up and this and that. We're gonna tell you what it is, and we're gonna tell you what it ain't. We're gonna be honest. We're gonna operate with integrity as a community. And there were people in the nation that did things wrong that wasn't right, and they were confronted, and they were given the opportunity to recognize, to discuss, to say, I'm sorry, I went the wrong direction. This is how people need to operate in communities. So yes, I do come and look at people online, and I think they are funny because they're not civilized. They cannot produce anything that looks like what they talk about. In the Nation of Islam, I saw models of it. I saw Sister Asia and Brother Muhammad raising three children together, third generation Nation of Islam. I saw it. I saw them come. I saw many families like that. They come and they act out and live out their purposes. They serve in the community. They're doing it, right? I saw black men, they might work for the man, but they got a job on the side. I mean, they got a business on the side. I saw them doing for self. They were manifesting everything they discussed, they embodied it. The Nation of Islam raised me. You can only talk so much till the shit you're saying is bullshit because you're not embodying it. Where is the evidence? Where are the results? Nation of Islam demands results from people. You can't bullshit in the Nation of Islam. They're gonna call you out. They're gonna tell you about yourself. And then they're gonna basically push you out. They don't want to be bothered with fakey fake people. They don't have time for that. All that status and this and that, da, da, da. The only status you're gonna get is through service. Now I was never in the fruit of Islam, FOI. I wasn't in it. But one thing I do is they got ranks. They got ranks based on your service to the community. You see what I'm saying? Value. I hear somebody, oh, you're not a man. You're not a man. What are y'all measuring manhood by? In the Nation of Islam, they measure manhood by your status. Do you have a wife? Do you have children? Are you a patriarch? Are you a leader? That's your first level right there. If you ain't doing that, you ain't doing shit. I don't even think they let you move up in the ranks as a single man. You're not relevant to the community, really, until you are established with a wife and family. This is a Nation of Islam. But these fools out here, they don't want to deal with none of that because they are avoiding adulthood. They are avoiding responsibility. This is why I laugh at them. I never show my authentic self. I just laugh all the time. Today I'm telling you some authentic shit. This is why I think they're funny as fuck. Because I have something civilized and organized to compare it to. Am I in the Nation of Islam correct? Right now, no. No. I took what I needed from the Nation of Islam as a foundation to help me through understanding the world that I was living in. And I apply all of that, the message to the black man, my understanding of whiteness, my understanding of the power structures, okay? And games. Before the 48 Laws of Power was written, before any of that, Louis Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, they laid down the fucking game. They said, black man, trust yourself. Don't trust them devils. The devil has no good for you. I never forget these lessons. Never. He wants to take your place. I never forget these lessons. He don't want you here. This is why I laugh at Coons. Nation of Islam raised me. You hate yourself. You hate yourself. You have embodied white supremacy to the bone. You don't love yourself. You mix with low life beasts and devils and demons, thinking that you will bathe yourself and be baptized by whiteness and you're going to be reborn a super Negro. But you just lost your soul. They can't deal with this. That's why I don't bring none of this. I don't bring none of this. I just laugh and I have fun because I know truth. I know understanding. The Nation of Islam gave me slitters of the past. They gave me flashbacks into old ancient society to know where I came from and know where I'm going. Nobody can take. I am a uppity Negro because I know who I am and I love myself. I know what black men are. I know what black women are. You can't lie to me. You can't show me images on the media and make me think my people are welfare queens. All of us. You can't tell me we're all pimps and hoes. You can't lie to me. You can't diminish us as a people when you know who you really are. When you are a civilized black person who's educated and intellectual, they can't tell you lies. They can't brainwash you. You laugh at everybody because the joke is on them. They are only fooling the idiots of the world. The people who know will always know. You can't take that from me. But you don't have to lay out everything for everybody because everybody ain't going to get it. Everybody ain't ready for it. It's a lot of people that's living in the matrix. And you know them when you see them. You know they're brainwashed. You know they're lost. You know they're dead. They're spiritually gone. They surrendered a long time ago. And that's why I just float by and I laugh and I just say, wow. I see things on three, four, five, six different dimensions. And I just laugh because there's nothing else to do, y'all. If you worry and trouble yourself and try to put on a cape and try to save people, you will live a miserable life. You will live a miserable life. What you have to do is avoid foolish people, avoid crazy people, avoid chaotic people. And if you even get close to them, if you lean in and listen a little bit, just laugh. Don't take it serious. Don't worry too much. Just laugh. Laughter's good for the soul, and that's all you can do is laugh. Just laugh because it has to be funny when you know. And I separate myself. I separate myself. I don't have time to worry about things that I did not create. I don't have time for that. I'm not finna sit here and worry about racism. I didn't create that, and I can't end it. But I know one thing: I can get the fuck on from you. I can get the fuck on from you because you cursed with a problem. And when I say racism, I really mean whiteism. I really mean whiteism. Whiteism is that leprechaun. You ain't gonna never get out of your hell. That's your hell. That's your personal hell of being lied to, told that you was better because you was white, that you were DNA superior, right? Told that you had some kind of study that the bell curve and da 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 da, and you spent all your time telling yourself lies and programming yourself that you better than people of color. But your history says something different. I know your history, and I will never forget it. I don't care how many books you burn. I don't care how many different links or data digital that you erase. I don't care how many museums that you rearrange. Nothing changes the fact that your history of whiteness shows that you have a hell that you will always live in. You've been living like that. Why do I expect you to change? That's why I said I like racism. I like that shit. I like it. You know why I like it? Because it's reality and it's not going nowhere. These people are foolish. So I don't like racism. Shaming people for racism. That's who they are. That's who they gonna be. What's your problem? You don't want to deal with reality? Say it. Just say it. I want to deal in an alternative reality. I don't want to deal with what's here. I don't want to deal with this reality. Just say that. These motherfuckers been racist, and the ones that's the most pro black, fist in the air, the ones that talk about they love black people and they down for the cause, they be the worst. History has shown they the worst. I don't have to argue with people. History's there. That's all I can tell you. But the Nation of Islam raised me. Nation of Islam showed me a lot about life early on. They showed me the nature of the devil, and I'll never forget it. They showed me the history of the devil. I'll never forget it. They will turn on you in a dime. They will betray you because guess what? That's what they was born to do. This is the nature of the demon. What are we here arguing about? These are not a civilized people. History shows you that they are not a civilized people. They destroy everything they come in contact with. They are a virus. It's a lineage of evil. What the fuck what are we talking about? And there are no exceptions to the rule. Some of them know how to behave. They know how to put on a mask. But baby, behind that mask, one fine day, behind that mask, you will find a demon incarnate. Sometimes they let the mask slip and you say, ooh, I knew that shit was there. I'm gonna tell you without a doubt, history says the lineage of evil, history says, history says, history says, history says, infinite. I'm gonna end on this. Nation of Islam taught me do for self, love your community. The black man is God. The black man is a leader. The black woman is a helpmate to the black man. The black woman is a nation can rise no higher than this woman. Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam. Y'all hear that? That's not feminism. That's Nation of Islam. Because if she ain't shit, them kids ain't gonna be shit. Y'all understand? If your woman ain't shit, your kids ain't gonna be shit. A nation can rise no higher than this woman. And you got idiots out here. That's feminism. No, a woman teaches a child how to read. A woman teaches a child how to wash their ass. A woman teaches a child 1,000 things. If she's dumb and stupid and backwards, she can't teach anything to a nation. You understand? This is the role of a woman. This is why. It's not that she's better than a man. She's the majority of the teacher. I'm working on that stuff right now with my own daughter. Life skills. I go over stuff all the time. This is how you clean your ears inside, outside, go around. Inside, outside, go around. This is important stuff. You think her daddy's going to sit there and teach her how to go through her ear, the in, the out, around and behind? You think her father's going to do that? No, that's not his role. It's my job. That's why a nation can rise no higher than this woman. She is the one who teaches them how to clean their ass. Literally. A mother stands behind her child and she watches them wipe their butt. Yes. And she's measuring. That's not clean. Do it again. This is why y'all think I'm bullshit. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. A mother says, "Oh, this child needs vitamin C." Like me. I. You understand? So all of these details, these things that mothers do, women raise the nation. Men protect it and provide for it. So all of that red pill, hateful, stupid shit that's coming out of people's mouths, but they can't do what the Nation of Islam can do. The Nation of Islam, you can't even pretend talking about you being a man or manhood if you don't have a wife. You're not yet a man. In most societies, y'all, if we're honest, in most societies, until you have established a wife in patriarchy, there's nothing for you to say about manhood or contribute to anything about brotherhood. There's nowhere for you to go. You are not yet a man. You're not yet a man. You go to Islam, go to any of these Muslim countries. You're not yet a man. You have no status when you're a single random male out here doing nothing with no purpose. You are not a man. You're not leading anything or anybody. You have no purpose yet. In Islam, they say that you have not met your deen, which is your purpose on life on this earth. You have not met your deen, Deen. You have not met your deen, fulfilled your deen until you are married, men and women. Basically, you ain't shit until you've established a family and an intention to have one. You understand? In a civilized society, not a Western one. I'm talking, girl. What's up, Queen? The Nation of Islam raised me. I understand that. So when I hear men talking about manhood and you sitting over here like a child on your mother's couch. I'm laughing at you because you're not civilized. You don't have a purpose. You have not fulfilled your name. You have. That's what I keep saying. You men have not even established patriarchy. You haven't even established the foundations and basics of manhood. And you sit and you talk about manhood all the time, all day. You talk, talk, talk. This would not fly in Nation Islam. You have to have a status in any decent society. That's the truth. These indigenous people, Asia, all these different, think about all these different cultures that exist. You don't have a status. You are a statusless man. You are an unfollowed man. You are not relevant. But only in cyberspace, only in this pretend make believe world can men sit around with no patriarchy, having built nothing, and most everything they got is being funded, either financed or funded by a woman or the government. And they've built nothing, not even their own job. And they talk about manhood all day. This is why I laugh. I don't bring this authentic self to the internet. I don't. This is my first time talking about it. I make mention here and there about Islam. And I was never a perfect Muslim. I'll tell you that now. Let me just say that. I'm not going to go deep into it, but I was never a perfect Muslim. But I had a standard. I had a standard. I had an understanding. And I carry that with me to this day. I had a standard. And most of these people in the world, they don't have a standard. Like I said, with Christianity, it's to each his own. Do what you will. Do what thou wilt. Nobody can judge. Everybody's in sin. Let's just have one big goddamn, what's it called? Bacchus parade. This is a big ass Bacchus parade. The Western world is a do what the fuck you want to do Bacchus parade. Eat and be merry, goddamn it. That's how I see it. And that's why I don't consider myself, a Western person because I do have things that I think are civilized. And I love the Muslim world. I wish I could live there. I really do. I consider that once. And all of this understanding, my ability to laugh and not take people seriously on the internet, it comes from this. It comes from my Islamic background, me understanding things to my bone, not being swayed by new trends and new leaders and all this type of shit. I'm not swayed by none of that. The Nation of Islam, the teachings of the message of the black to the black man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Nation of Islam is my background. It is my structure. It is my understanding. It taught me what it is to approach womanhood respectfully, right? So yeah, I troll, I laugh because I see a whole bunch of uncivilized people pretending to be civilized, and I think it's fucking funny. I think this shit's hilarious, based on absolutely nothing. Based on nothing. Anyway, those are my thoughts. The Nation Islam. I'm going to do a different stream called Whiteness. Right now, I got to put up these. I decided I'm going to cook a bunch of Asian food. So I just came back from the store with bok choy and all kind of shit. So I'm about to unload and put that stuff up. I was taking this break real briefly to do this video because I had it on my mind. And I'm going to share. I'm going to do a video about whiteness, and I'm going to do a video about racism and what racism really is. I have a perspective on racism. Um, and I say that because I want to talk about my own so-called racism. I want to talk about I'm gonna call it justified racism. And I use the word racism because apprehension is not necessarily gonna fly. Apprehension. So I'm gonna call it justified racism. I have justified racism. I want to do a video about that, and I'm gonna do a video about whiteness. I know a whole lot about whiteness, and I think Black people need to study whiteness more clearly. I think we embody a lot of pain. We embody a lot of bullshit that's been heaped upon us psychically, emotionally. This whole world has been heaping stuff on us. They continue to do this. They continue to victimize us, traumatize us. And we don't have the tools to recognize that somebody else's sickness is their fucking sickness. It is not ours. It's not my job to keep telling the leprechaun, I don't want your pot of gold. You're okay. It's not my job. You're the one who's fucking paranoid. Somebody's gonna steal your pot of gold. You're fucking crazy. I'm not. You're fighting shadows. I'm not. We got to learn to avoid and at least process what we're seeing out in this world. And we need to process whiteness because white folk, they have a paranoia, schizophrenia, and all kind of other disorders they carry and they try to transfer to us. So I want to talk about whiteness and what it does to the black psyche. All right, y'all, I'm done. I know my daughter's like, what the fuck? Anyway, I say, y'all have a good day.